Hey up everyone, and welcome to my very first tutorial. Today I'm going to be working on first things first, how to apply your first layers to a new portrait. Now everyone who's seen my work previously posted on various other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, knows that my acrylic paintings are in a realistic style. And like really finely detailed and all that, but every realistic like finely detailed painting has to start off with just getting paint onto paper or canvas or whatever it is you like to work on. I'm using Fabriano, hot press, Aristico, whatever it's called. At 640 GSM, I think it is, £300. So it is a thicker paper, and I will be doing a pug. So the idea of this tutorial is just to show the very first stages of just getting paint onto paper, and it is a bit of a messy stage, so don't expect anything spectacular looking in this tutorial, but it just shows you where you would start on when you're doing a realistic painting using acrylic. So let's get along with it. Right, so here we are. As you can see, I've got everything prepared. I've already done a background, and I've masked around edges of me drawing so that I don't lose my outline, because I draw it out once, I don't want to draw it out again. So it's all ready to go. So now I've got see my pub here that I'll be painting. So for a minute, just for these initial layers, I've just got some black on my palette, some burnt umber, yellow ochre and white, and they're all I'm going to need for the time being. There's going to be a lot of other colours involved, but for this first layer it don't really matter about them. We just need to get some colour on paper. And I always start off with black and start, working on these features, facial features, eyes, nose, mouth area and things like that first, with all your darkest colours, and then I do the lighter areas like afterwards. So I'm using a round brush. It's a number 10 round brush. I don't really, as long as it's a decent mech, I don't really think. I use various different mechs. This is a Winsor & Newton Cotman. But I use various different ones, so I don't really think it matters that much so long as it's not a really rubbish quality brush. And then just start. As you can see, it's quite messy using one of these, but the idea is just to get paint onto the actual paper. I might change brushes actually, because this one's flayed a little bit and it's hang on a minute, it might be a bit better now. I'll do these yeah, I might use a different brush. It might work in a minute when it's got some more paint on it. Like I say, it don't really matter about things being tidy in the beginning. All that gets tidied up like later on. I'm just hoping now that no noise happens whilst I'm trying to do this tutorial, like somebody comes to the door and dog starts barking and things like that. Because when I was trying to do my intro video, when I started it recording, the first attempt this is, I tried saying hello in the beginning. Because I said that, she thought somebody must be there, so she jumped up and started barking and rushing, thinking that somebody had come to ours or something like that. So then I had to press stop and do it again, and I just had to turf her out of the room and you can stay out there now, because but she's gonna have to get used to me talking to myself, to talking to me camera where there's no people there, and get used to the idea that there ain't actually any people around. I'm just talking to myself. So like I say, I'm just getting features in at minute, and it's lucky, you know, you'll be looking and thinking, oh god, look how messy that looks, and it's like, yeah, they all start off like this. So if yours starts off like this, you don't need much in way of any skill to do this bit. I think this bush is playing a little bit better as well now it's being wet enough. I think we're a little bit feathered in the beginning. The bushes tend not to last too long, you have to keep buying new ones, and I'm really bad at cleaning mine out properly. And taking proper, I mean, I'm not bad for like leaving them in water and things, but I am bad for not like really proper cleaning them the way that you should clean them and things like that, you know. So you end up ruining them after so long. Some black ears, so I'll just get some black paint on them as well. Well, I've got really dark ears, so I'll have other colours in there. But for now, I'll just get some black paint on. I know some people don't like using black, you know, it's like a really taboo. It seems to be alright amongst some people, you know, that use different mediums like pastel and coloured pencil. They seem to be able to use black, and when it comes to paint, it's like, don't use black, you know, you got to mix these other colours together and make like an alternative to black, and it's like, nah, I can't be bothered with that. I just use black, and that's it. And then obviously, you know, other colours get mixed with it later too. So I mean, I think if I were doing like landscapes, I probably would do that. I probably wouldn't use black, because you can't, especially when things are further away, you can't really see any blacks anyway. Everything's like paler because it's further away, you know, there's more dust and environment between you and all this, so you can't see as much contrast in your colours and your you know, in your lights and darks and what have you. So you wouldn't, if it, you know, for most part, you know, in landscapes, it's like, you know, I wouldn't want to really use any anyway. But when it comes to pet portraits, I mean, I've got one of the other dogs laying here and at side of me, and when you look at the blacks that are on her, they're like black. It's like, you know, you're not seeing other colours, it's just black. Just exactly the same as the paint on this palette, is it black. So I'll just use black. And things turn out alright anyway, so... Now, I've had somebody, I might do another tutorial later on, because I've had somebody ask me to do a tutorial of the, you know, the wrinkles on dog's face. Actually, that one needs to go across there, and then the other one goes up there. So like, well, you know, next dog that I'm doing has got wrinkles on its face, it's a pug. So I might do another one, you know, showing how to do the wrinkles on the dog's face when I sort of like, you know, get to, you know, a little bit closer to, you know, doing the detail and things like that. And I might, you know, show how I do the, you know, process of doing the wrinkles and making them look like wrinkles. So if this video sort of works out okay, I might actually do that. You'll probably notice that I do, you know, look a little bit awkward, especially like in my intro video. You know, I'm not, you know, it does take some getting used to, like, just gabbling away to like a, you know, a piece of equipment, you know. It's just, I mean, if you're like in a Zoom meeting or something and there was somebody actually on other, you know, speaking to you on the other end, it'd be different. But because you're just speaking to nobody, it's just strange. And then, you know, you're going to post this up, and then 1 or 2 people on YouTube might actually watch it. I'm hoping it might be more than 2, maybe about 10. Like I say, you know, it's nice and messy at the minute, you know, just a case of getting paint on. I mean, I've got really shaky hands as well, so probably a good thing that I use paint that dries quick, because I have to lean on paper more, otherwise my hand's shaking around. You won't believe, like, you know, how much my hands shake when you look at the work that I do. Like I say, you know, there's going to be whiskers here, and you get your sort of rows of like whisker rolls, what they grow out, what whisker follicles, whatever they are. And like it's really, really messy at the minute. You don't have to, you just, like I say, you're just getting paint onto paper, and that is it. So just look for your darkest areas and just get the paint on. Just got to be careful around these edges. I'm really prone to smudging onto the background. Now the paint I'm using here, actually had it bought for me, this tube of black paint a few years ago at Christmas by my parents. And they bought me, so it's actually this, it's reeds. Now when I saw it, it's like, oh, it's just a cheapy rubbishy paint, and I'll not really be using that stuff for, you know, what I do. And they bought a black and white, and the white is quite rubbish. It's alright as a mixing white. I've used it as a mixing white, but it wouldn't be any use, you know, as a proper, you know, standalone white. But the black turned out to be really nice. In fact, it's my favourite black paint, acrylic paint I've ever come across. It's like really black, and I really like it. And the thing is, I can't seem to find it anymore. I don't know whether they've changed it or what. But you know, I don't buy any of the what I've seen, because I don't know whether it's the same stuff. So I have bought a different kind of black to start using when I run out of this, and it's Liquitex soft body. So I'll see how we go on with that when I've run out of this. It might actually be a decent alternative. But yeah, I've really been impressed with this black. It's like I'd never expect, you know, when I saw them tubes of paint, when I unwrapped my present and saw these tubes of paint, that this black would actually be, that I'd actually like it so much. So sometimes it's not always the most expensive things that are the best. Sometimes you just happen across little cheapy things that turn out to be better than your expensive things, but it's not often, unfortunately. It is usually a case of you get what you pay for, and especially with your whites. I mean, in particular whites, you know, you've got to get good quality whites, because you need plenty of pigment when you're doing your, you know, some of your highlights and things like that. I'm glad there's no white whiskers on this dog. That's one of my least favourite things to do, is white whiskers, because of the shaky hands that I have. Right, so I'll wash this down now, so it's and then just fill in the gaps where light is reflecting on, so it's not quite as dark, you know, as the areas that I've already painted in. you know, these wrinkles have got quite a lot of, like, you know, creamy coloured hair on them, but obviously, you know, before you start painting any of that in, you've got to first paint in, you know, the shadows, you know, between all these little hairs, and it looks like there's actually black hairs mixed in, and all have got black tips on the hairs. So when it comes to paints like this, you know, quite opaque paints like acrylics, oils, that kind of thing, it's always better working from dark to light. And then watercolours, you often work from light to dark, and then obviously with some other mediums like coloured pencil, you often work from light to dark, because you can't really put lights on top of darks with some mediums, so that's the which way you've got to work it. Same with when I were doing graphite sketches, it was same with that, and same with charcoal. It tends to be, I tend to actually put my whites on first with charcoal sketches. I'd put all the whites on first, and then just work around them with darks and blacks and what have you. Because white charcoal pencil, it don't come up quite as white when you put it on top of black. So it's alright doing highlights on things like black fur and things like that, you know, which are not actually white, but they are lighter than the black, you know, the black parts of fur. But when it comes to like highlights in eyes and things like that, and white bits of fur and stuff, you've got to sort of like put it on first, or at least erase some of your black out to put the white on. But when it comes to acrylic, it's working from dark to light. Give me a little wrinkle up there. Black's going to come down here a bit. I think the more I'm sitting here and speaking to myself, basically, the more I'll get used to talking and not sounding really awkward, and hopefully you'll still get something from these earlier tutorials, and you'll not it'll not be completely in vain, you know, just making myself look like an idiot for absolutely nothing. I mean, to be honest, I'm past point now. You know, it's not as hard for me to feel like an idiot these days as when I don't think I could have done this at all when I was younger. You know, I commend people that can pull this kind of stuff off when they're young, because I don't think I could have done it. But I'm a teenager now. It's like, yeah, I just don't care anymore. I don't care. It's like, it don't really make any difference to your life whether some people think you look like an idiot or not. It really doesn't. So I just do my thing. I mean, everyone makes themselves look like an idiot, and they know it. They know full well that everybody does it at some point in their life. They make themselves look like an idiot, and they all know it. So there's no point laughing at anybody else. You know, when you know you're just as prone, you know, to making yourself look silly sometimes, because we all are. You know, we don't, none of us likes to get away with that. We all have those embarrassing moments and things. But I tend to find that if you just laugh at yourself, or, you know, a bit of self-deprecation, people are more likely to just laugh along with you, and they laugh along with you because they relate to you, because they know full well these things, you know, happen to them as well, you know. Might not be exact same thing, but similar things for sure. and or they might be able to imagine how they'd feel if it happened to them. So when you're able to sort of like laugh at yourself and, you know, just take piss out yourself a bit, then, you know, people will generally tend to relate. And so anyway, it's starting to look like quite a impressionist kind of painting, and quite a lot of my paintings are like that, you know, in the earlier stages. I could just leave them like this as an, you know, and leave it as like an impressionist kind, but obviously it's not where I like to stop personally. I mean, if you do, then, I mean, this this could sort of like help somebody who just wants to draw in an impressionist way and leave it like that, you know, that'd be suffice. And if that's how you like it, then you know, stop there. But if not, then it's going to take a few more layers before, you know, we start really sort of like putting out detail and what have you in. I mean, you get a lot of people saying, oh, I don't know why people do this realistic art, you might as well just take a photo. And I always think, well, you know, I mean, I'm a photographer as well as an artist. I'm mostly photographing like dogs, that kind of thing. You know, dogs are usually my favourite subject. I've done some weddings and people shoots, and I don't really enjoy it. I'll photograph most things, mate. I really enjoy. When it comes to drawing and painting, I'm strictly animals. But when it comes to photography, I actually enjoy photographing people. So I just wish I could get more opportunities, really, and I don't seem to get as much photography work as what I do artwork. But I've done a few weddings and I really enjoyed them. I mean, they're not easy, you know, they're hard work. And I think one of the reasons I avoid them is because I think probably partly down to where I live. It's like everybody wants them for like basically nothing, and they think they're just paying for a day, and unfortunately wedding shoots, and they're not just for a day, you know, the weeks and weeks of work, and then all the cost of, you know, presentation products and all that, it really adds up. So you just can't, when wanting it for like 200 or 300, you just can't do it for that amount. It's just not going to be cost effective. Well, it would be for them, wouldn't be for the photographer. But I tend to not do so many of them. I might agree to the odd one here and there, but like I say, you know, they need to be prepared to invest in decent photography job. I mean, I've seen some where they posted pictures of the wedding shoot, and you know they would have, you know, gone for somebody cheap, and the photos were like, well, anyone really could have got them. They weren't all special about them. Someone could have taken them on the phone and done a better job. And I think, what, you paid, like, you might have only paid like 200, but it's like you paid 200 for that. But you know, like I say, you get what you pay for. And it's same for art, you know, people. I mean, I get two different kinds of people. I get people where they say, I tell them what I charge, which is probably a bit less than what I should be, to be honest. And they're like, oh, you know, that's expensive, isn't it? Oh, I can't afford that. And it's fair enough if you can't afford it, that's fine, like, but just accept that you can't afford it. But and then you get your other people where they're like, oh, that's cheap, you should charge more than that. See, two different kinds of people. And I think I need to make more effort to target the latter type. Needs to find more of them. I mean, to be honest, I mean, I've been doing this for years, and it's only this, I'm only in month 9 of doing it full time. So I'm still, like, you know, early days of doing it full time. Before, it were like really sort of, I didn't really push it or anything. I just sort of like did it casually alongside my other really rubbish retail job that I did. I absolutely hated, and everybody could tell I hated it, including customers and what have you, you know. And I just really got fed up with it enough last summer that I thought, right, that's it, I'm done. I'm just going to finally take that plunge and see what happens. You know, I've got to do something scary at some point in my life, I suppose. I mean, fortunately, I'm a person that can live pretty frugal. And I think, well, being forced to, really, with all the COVID situation, you can't really do a lot. But I tend to live pretty frugal anyway. And I tend to be one to, like, save money. When I get money, I don't go out just spending it. I tend to save it. So that when, you know, when you hit a rainy day, I've got something to fall back on. and I've got that going for me, but obviously there's other things. There's a lot more to, like, you know, being an artist than just drawing and painting. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've got to get to grips, you know, with alt marketing stuff, because, you know, blowing my own trumpet is not something I've ever really been great at. I mean, it partly stems back to school, and, you know, when I used to get picked on and what have you a lot, and some people really hated the fact that I was good at drawing, really hated it, and they didn't like anything, you know, like you know, being shown, my work being shown or all like that, you know. They will just have a go, you know, you're showing off. So you just sort of like close yourself up and just, you know, and they'd still, because they were just jealous and they didn't want me to be good at alt, to be honest. It's like, you know, well, tough I am. And I'm still doing it now. So they haven't stopped me from doing it, but I don't suppose it matters much to them anymore anyway. So anyway, I've nearly finished the black part of the face for the first layer. So I'm just going to clean my brush out. I'm having to reach across my tripod just to get to my water thing and clean my brush out. Not got much space here at all for this stuff. And then I'm just going to mix some lighter tone, you know, with the burnt sienna and a bit of burnt umber. Maybe mix a little bit of black in as well, so it's not too warm. And then just start addressing, you know, parts of the head where it's got, you know, where I've left it white mostly, apart from these areas where, you know, I went over the edge with background colour. This is where you want to keep it darker than what, you know, your actual lightest fur and what have you is. It needs to be kept darker because, like I say, you want to leave scope for using your lightest highlights last, so you don't want to be going too light too soon. So here we go. So this will be fine for the time being. As you can see, it's quite dark compared to, you know, how it'll look in end. Like I say, just get it slapped on. You don't need to worry too much if it looks a bit untidy at this stage. I mean, I've been doing paintings at this stage, and I mean, this one actually don't look too bad compared to some of them. Look absolutely awful at this stage. But you get used to the fact that it's just a normal part of the process. I even put, if you follow my Facebook page, you'll have seen it like in past. I mean, a lot of the recent paintings I've done, I've not been able to post updates of them because they've either been a secret or client don't want to see them until they're done or something like that. So I've not been able to post any updates. And when it's safe to post them, I just tend to post, you know, the finished painting, like, you know, which can be like months later sometimes before it's safe to post it. But when I do post updates, you know, I post right from, you know, beginning layers, like, you know, this first beginning layer. So people get to see them in all the ugly glory. And most people, I think, they do enjoy seeing it process, you know, even, you know, like non-artsy people that follow me, they do like to see your alt process. I say it's nice to see how it sort of like develops from the beginning, how it's done. I think that's why a lot of people like watching time lapses, because it's just nice watching it, you know, in really fast motion, just come together from just blobs of paint, you know, to like a realistic painting, you know, that's got lots of like detail and convincing textures and things like that in it. I don't like to say much that they look like a photo, because to be honest, it's like quite often they don't really look like, you know, that like the photo that you, when you put the photo next to them that you used as a reference. You know, it's you can see a lot of differences there. This is what some people like to criticise, like realism, saying you might as well just take a photo, and like I say, it don't. I just had to restart my camcorder there. I apologise. Fortunately, the camera I'm using is it won't only it only records for like so long before it like stops, and apparently it's to do with like taxes in EU. I mean, I'm at UK and we're no longer part of EU as of beginning of this year, but obviously we were when these cameras were made. And because the taxes apparently for camcorders are a lot higher, and if it records for longer than a certain amount of time, I think it's about 30 minutes or something, it means that the taxes would be a lot higher for them, so they make it so that they'll only record for a certain length of time in order to avoid these taxes. So I have to keep restart, but fortunately because the camera's right next to my head and I hear it when it switches off, I can know straight away and I can like restart it and just continue. So it's not overly bad, but it's just something that I've got to deal with. I mean, a minute I've just got to, you know, try and work things with what I've got available to me. I mean, further down the line, you know, when if I start making, you know, thousands of pounds as a successful artist, yes, come on, then I'll probably be able to upgrade my equipment some and, you know, get more stuff, you know, to make these videos a little bit better. I mean, at the moment you just have to put up with these rudimentary efforts, but like I say, you know, there's still, you know, opportunity to show you how I do things, so you can take some away from it, hopefully. I mean, I've watched quite a few tutorials on YouTube and really enjoyed them, so I mean, I can get some out of them. So, and I think, you know, it's nice that there's people out there that have taken time to actually do them. And I think, well, you know, I've got enough skill with my acrylics that, you know, and acrylics can be quite a challenging paint to use. A lot of people use them in a more, you know, impressionist manner, you know, using them in like a really realistic way. You know, it's not quite as common, I don't think. And a lot of people, because they dry quickly and it's more difficult to blend them, they're like, how did you manage to get that using acrylics? And I thought, well, you know, I mean, there was somebody just the other day who was considering starting up in acrylics in one of our art groups, and she posted asking if there were anybody that used acrylics and could she see the work, because she was considering starting up in it. I think I can't remember what medium I think she might use pastels. But I says, I'm considering just about to start doing like tutorials. I says you've got your timing well there. I says might be an idea for you to start watching my tutorials. Get myself an audience member. Might as well have one. So But yeah, a lot of people have like told me like, oh yeah, you should do it. I mean, I posted a couple of weeks ago asking if people thought I should do tutorials. And they were like, oh yeah, you should post a few of my works, as examples. Oh, definitely, yeah. I thought, right, well, I had plenty of replies to that post. There was quite a lot of interest. So I thought, well, let's give it a bash. I mean, what am I going to lose? I don't know whether to follow with this up with second layer or just leave it at that for now, because like I say, baby steps and all that. And I know I probably will do one for the wrinkles, because like I said, someone did actually specifically mention wrinkles, so I thought, well, it's just convenience. My next commission is a pug and it's got wrinkles on its face, so I'm going to quite enjoy doing them wrinkles actually. I'm really looking forward to doing that hair on the wrinkles. I'm just looking at them and thinking I'm really looking forward to that. It's just the kind of, fur texture and what have you that I really sort of like get satisfaction from doing. So I probably will do a tutorial for that. But like I say, it's not just talking to a camera and all that. I mean, I'm also sort of getting to grips with using, video editing software. I mean, I've downloaded that DaVinci Resolve, and I'm starting to get to grips with doing a few, just simple basics with it. And I think once you get sort of like, nice and comfortable and familiar with basics, it's easier to start, upping your game and just, adding a new skill in there, and instead of trying to do everything at once, because it just fries your brain. So like I said, that's another reason to keep things simple for now, because and I can have a chance to just get comfortable with producing the videos and hoping things turn out, and then I can start like doing more complicated things as I get more confident, and I'm not worrying about the things that I'm already doing anymore because I've gotten comfortable with them. So now I can I've got like the space in my brain to concentrate on a new skill then, because it's not having to work so hard concentrating on the things that I'm already doing, because I've gotten familiarised myself enough. So, but I mean, another part of it is it's not just the skill, but it's the equipment as well. Obviously I'm going to end up getting a lot more equipment as time goes on, hopefully anyway. I'm hoping that this sort of works out. I mean, even now, just I'm starting to just relax into it a little bit now, because I've been probably gabbling on for like a good half an hour or more now, by now, haven't I? So, and I think when you've been doing it for that long, I'm just pretending that I'm talking to myself now. We all do it. We all talk to ourselves. I mean, I don't tend to talk to myself whilst I'm painting. Normally, actually, when I'm painting, I listen to like podcasts and things like that, and I'm not actually saying anything. So painting and talking is probably a bit new to me, but it's not really that. I've seen some people are doing tutorials and they're speaking as the working, and they've said like they find it a little bit difficult, but I've not found it overly difficult to ramble along whilst I'm painting. Not from the being able to paint perspective. I'd say that, like I say, it's just
I thought I'm like basically talking to myself, you know. Nobody's actually here except I've got 2 dogs in here. The noisy one, I've had to shut door because I just don't know when. All it takes is for a dog across the road to bark or something, and she'll just set off. And I thought, nah, I can't be having that in here. So I've had to show her out at the door and then shut it on her, so she'll not be an happy bunny at minute. But at least I'll have a bit of peace and quiet until I've finished this. So there's going to be a time when she catches me out and she makes some noise in one a bit. But if you're an animal, you'll probably, and you probably are if you're watching tutorials on how to paint animals, you'll probably find it funny when you hear her anyway. You'll probably, oh, there she goes. Little rent-a-gob. I'm just hoping that this is properly focused in as well. It's really hard. I'm trying to see on back at camera and it's really hard to see whether it's... try to bring my hand over it so it can focus on my hand and everything, and then I lock the focus so that it can't change focus, you know, and it sees my hand moving around across painting and things on my arm or whatever, and it can't change focus then, so I lock it. But the only bad thing about locking it is that if it is slightly wrong, it won't ever have a chance to correct itself, so all the lot is going to be wrong. So hopefully it's not happened and it'll be nice and in focus. So anyway, we're getting to the end of the first layer, and my little Samsung tablet is getting a bit fed up now. It's saying, right, I've been sitting here long enough, my screen's going to go off. I just have to give a little swipe. So this is the initial blocking in layer. As you can see, it's not overly special. So, you know, most people are going to be able to pull this off. If you've got some, like, you know, any sort of level of painting skill, you'll be able to pull something like this off. Or if you really can't, then it'll not take much. Just practice and you'll get it in no time. You know, this sort of being able to get to this level. And like I say, you might like the you know, the impressionist sort of like strokes involved, and leave it like that. But to me, it just looks really like unfinished. I mean, I do really enjoy some like impressionist stuff, but it's got to have a certain sort of like look to it and what have you for it to appeal to me. I tend to like sketches. That's what I started doing, and then even now it's like I struggle to keep things like loose enough. I'm always wanting to start going too tight. It's real struggle, you know, when you've been doing like detailed realistic stuff for that long. You try and loosen up and it's like you keep wanting to try, let's just put that little bit of detail in there. It's like, no, just leave it and keep it, you know, just, you know, scribble some in, you know, scribble an impression of something in, and that's how it should be, you know, not doing all little tiny strokes and things. But it's really difficult to stop yourself from doing it, you know, when you've been doing detailed stuff for so long and working like that for so long. I mean, part of you wants to loosen up because, you know, it just feels nice for a change. But then when you're doing it, you feel yourself keep trying to sneak back into that being really tight and controlled, and just the way that I am, I think. Like all else, it's got to be practiced. Right, so I think that's it for the first layer. I mean, your next layer that comes along, that'll be, you know, what I've had to call like a modelling layer. Let's just stick a little bit in there. And that's when you just start tidying things up, you know, you just build on what you've done so far, start tidying things up a little bit so they don't look quite as messy. I mean, you can still see bits of white paper here. Or, you know, your paint's still a little bit transparent, so you want to thicken it up, and, you know, I'll probably use a slightly smaller brush to do that, to get me next layer along. But yeah, that's basically how you get your initial layer on when you're doing a realistic painting. And this is what's sort of like underneath all that realism at end. Like I say, don't take too much skill getting this part down. Looks quite sort of amateurish and messy and what have you. Like I said, main objective is just, at this stage, just getting that paper covered up and getting some painting on it. So here it is. Now you know how things start off. Like I said, some of you already know, if you watch my page and you see me post updates, you'll see how messy they look in the beginning and how they change as I keep posting new updates. But a lot of you won't have seen that, so anyway, there you go. First layer down. Plenty more to go yet, but shall look forward to that. There's some quite interesting details and highlights and things like that going on with this pug, so I think I'm gonna quite enjoy this one. But anyway, I think that's it for now. I'll stop rambling on to you, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye bye.